Oh man, my hair. Okay. Gosh. Alright guys, we're back for part 2 of my tackle tour. And today we're going to be talking about hard baits. So I've got a number of boxes here, mostly Plano 3700 boxes, full of different baits. And I'm constantly reorganizing these. And you can see I got a bunch of them behind me. I'm constantly reorganizing because I'm never really happy with how they're set up. And so we're going to go through them. I'm going to show you guys what I've got. I'm going to breeze through a lot of it. I want this to be quick. I mean, number one, I don't remember the names of each company of every single bait. I apologize. Some of these could be 20 years old, and that's the reason why I really don't remember. I bought them when I was like 9, 10 years old. That's how old some of these lures are. A lot of them are new, and you'll recognize them for sure, but some of these baits, if you ask me, what is that one? I might not know, and I apologize for that. Let's dive in. Let's start going through what my hard baits are and how I organize them. Alright, so the first one, I'm sorry, but we are going to be skipping. This is some swim baits here. I still haven't even unpackaged them yet. And that's because I'm going to be doing a separate video on swim baits. I've got some more on the way. And I want to do kind of an unboxing, go through what I bought to start the swim bait process. But I'll give you guys a quick glimpse in here as to what I have so far. That's it. You guys don't get any more. Sorry. Let's dive into topwater. So I've got a lot of topwater, but not a ton. I traditionally in the past fished a lot more topwater than I do now. So let's dive in. Stick baits. You can see these are all Plano 3700 boxes, or the Bass Pro Shops equivalent box. And I've just got these big old printed off stickers in the front to help me see what they are. I don't have a ton of stick baits. I actually really like throwing stick baits, especially in the fall, and especially at night too. I love walking the dog with, you know, something like this. I actually throw this one right here. This one is a great night one. I use this all the time, or this little full black one. Great baits. So a lot of these are just the traditional Head and Zara spooks. I've got a number of them. You can't go wrong with some of these original Zara spooks. And some of these are extremely old. Some of them are fairly new. Like I know that those ones were fairly new. However, this one here probably is at least 18 years old. I've got some other ones here. So like this one, these hooks are rusted out, but this is an old head and lure too. This is Zaragoza or Zara something. It was a head and lure, and I used a little bit. I think I caught a few fish on it, but not too many. Here are some of the newer stick baits that I use. So these are some Yamamoto ones, and I really like those. They have a great walking action. Here is a big old expensive one, and I can't think of who this is. Is this a Lucky Craft? Possibly. Kind of looks like a Mega Bass too, but again, I just don't remember the names of all these. So this here this is a Sabile flat belly walker. Haven't thrown it yet. Haven't even tried it, so I don't know what it's like. I've got one of these. You've probably seen these around. These are a live target, I believe. They got this frog looking shape. Haven't thrown it. Got some smaller size down here too. Some really small Head and Zara puppies, I believe they're called. And then I got some odd size here too. Here's a Livingston one. I think this one's got that EBS or that electronic bait sound system in there. Got some old Excaliburs. I actually really liked these back in the day. I don't know, these Bill Dance Excaliburs. I don't think you can buy these anymore, but these are actually a pretty nice bait. So that's my stick baits. Again, I don't have a ton, but I've got a few. I got enough to be comfortable with. Poppers. Poppers are something that I don't know. I feel like I used to have more as a child, and I just don't have them now. And so I've got some expensive as heck Mega Bass ones. These are like works of art. The paint job is just unbelievable on these. I have only thrown one of them once. because a lot of times, instead of throwing a popper, I actually stick to a stick bait. I'll throw something and walk the dog rather than a popper. So I don't throw poppers as much. I've got some old pop R's, like this is the original Rebel, and man, this thing is old. Look at that. I mean, that hook and the feather tail on there looks terrible. Some hula poppers, you know, going way back in the day. You know, here's another one, an Excalibur. I remember these are really popular for a while. Bill Dance had this whole Excalibur line, and if you were like me as a kid, you grew up watching Bill Dance, and he was your hero. So I bought basically anything he sold. I forget what brand these were. Oh, these were Repels. That's right. So we had a couple Repels. You know, honestly, my go-to though is a good old Rebel Pop R. You know, it's small, it's compact, it has a great size, great sound, great splash, and that's all you really need. You don't need anything too crazy. These Mega Bass ones were splurges I got on sale, and I just couldn't turn them down. So wake baits. Wake bait. What's a wake bait? Okay, so I consider anything that creates a disturbance in the top wake baits. So we all know these. I've got a number of them. The good old Whopper Plopper. Got a couple different colors here. Perch. I forget what that blue one's called. This one's kind of like a touchy shad color. This giant Whopper Plopper I actually found. It's not something I bought. This goes way back. I think this is a Smithwick. I caught a huge bass, I remember, as a kid on this thing. I mean, a huge bass. In the spot where I just caught that big crappie, I caught a huge bass probably 20 years ago on this. And I lost the back hook and never replaced it. So, call me lazy. I've got a couple of these, the Spro Rats. These are the smaller size. I have yet to catch a fish on them. I haven't thrown them that much though, so I can't really speak too much to their ability to catch fish. I know other people have caught a bunch of fish on them, and I really do like the action on it. I think it just needs the right time and place, and I haven't found that yet. I've got one of these. This is Gantarelle. Again, this thing spits so much water. Honestly, it's crazy. It's probably the noisiest lure I've ever heard in my entire life. I mean, listen to that. I don't think you can make a noisier bait. I haven't caught a fish on it. This is kind of the original one. This is the Heaton Crazy Crawler. And in fact, it even goes further back in the day because I've got, let's see here. Here's a couple ones that are at least 50 years old. This one particularly is extremely old. So those have been in style for a long, long time. But I think one of my favorite and the most underrated go-to wake baits is the good old jitterbug. No one throws the jitterbug anymore. And I think it's a travesty for the jitterbug because, man, Arbogast had a great bait in this thing. I think it's so easy to use. It really never gets out of tune, and fish just love it. So I've got some smaller size here, some bigger ones here. I got some really weird ones that I don't know if they even sell anymore. I got a jointed one here. And then this one, I haven't seen one ever since back in the day when I bought this, but this one had a weedless hook in the back, and it came out, and I haven't been able to find a replacement, but I would love to throw this weedless through some weeds. That would be awesome. Oh, some other weird lures I've got here. I bought this as a kid. I've honestly never caught a fish on that. Some prop baits, some more prop baits, some little torpedoes. These are pretty good. I do like the torpedo. I think actually for smallmouth, a little torpedo works out really well. But and I think the wave of the future really is the Whopper Plopper. I think a lot of people are going to be using that going forward. And, you know, wake baits like this, you know, these Spro Rats. I really do like wake baiting. I think I would actually choose that again over a popper. But it really just depends on the situation. At night, I love a wake bait. Walking the dog or a wake bait is great. Frogs. Okay, so I've got quite a frog collection. And some of these are my go-tos, and some of them I don't like really all that much. But let's take a look. So, you can see I got a number of frogs. So, I just got this one a little while ago. We're going to give it a shot. This is, I think, is a Scum Frog brand. It's got some, oh, that scared me. Got some kind of paddle tails on the end, hopefully to display some water. I've got one of these little Mike Iaconelli Molex lures. Haven't even tried it, but this again goes kind of with that jitterbug. Gives that action like this. I think if it works the way I think it'll work, it could be a great bait, but I also think it could be a big bust. Let's see here. We got a number of spros kind of all spread out. So we got some smaller spros, a bunch of them. I mean, spro. This one is probably a live target, I believe. I think it's a live target. Yeah, with those legs, it's a live target. Some bigger spros. So I've got spro. Oh, this is a smaller spro here. This one, I've got to do something about that hook. That hook is all messed up. I got this snagged up pretty bad. Some booyah. So before I was on spro, I was actually really on a booyah kick. They're actually a pretty good value. And so these are the popping ones. I've got some more booyahs over here though, in the non-popping style. Here's another spro. Here's a good old. This is what I grew up fishing. This guy right here. I mean, this was the original topwater frog to me, and I caught so many fish as a kid on this thing. Some lunker hunt. So last year, my go-to frog was a lunker hunt. I love these things, and I do think they're a great bait. I think the legs are a little. They don't have too long of a life in them, but I think the material is really good for getting a good hook set. It compresses really easily. So I got a number of them. I mean, you can see this whole section here is all different size ones. Here's a spro that I need to I need some sort of legs for. Here's a bigger spro. You can see I got a lot of spros. Here's some more of those lunker hunt. This is the popping one. I mean, some big lunker hunt. These are the biggest size, and I could throw these a mile. Some other random frogs in the back. So I've got like this one I haven't really given a try because I don't like the feeling of it. This is a Sabile. So it's got like a swim bait hook at the bottom, just one style hook, and that right there is supposed to set the hook. However, it doesn't compress very easily, so I haven't really thrown it too much. What else do we got here? Just some cheaper frogs. I forget where I got these. Some of these are really inexpensive, although this one's a pretty nice one. Here's a live target right here. That's a good frog right there. Live target makes a good one too. And I've got some of these. So these came out last year. I know they were a big hit at ICAST. Got a couple of them. I bought some. Here's a River Sea. I think this is, I forget what they even call this. Spit and Wah. No, that's not River Sea. It's a Spit and Wah, I think is the name of it. Haven't really thrown it too much. I got some older, smaller frogs in there that I don't use really. I usually stick to Spro. That's the go-to one. So that kind of wraps up my topwater boxes. Just those four. Over here though, these are all of my other baits. Man, this video could be kind of long. I apologize. So we're going to start speeding this up because I don't want to go through. I don't want this to take all day. Jerk baits. I love jerk baits. I was fishing jerk baits like crazy last year. I've got a number of them. I really tried to grow this collection this last year. So, main ones that I use. I've got some shad wraps. I've got some ghost shads or whatever they call them. I've got some Lucky Craft pointers in here. I've got a number of Megavast Vision 110s. That's probably my go-to one. I mean, Vision 110s in a number of sizes. I mean, here's a couple of them. Really, what I'm looking for when I go out and get a jerkbait is something that's got a really good color pattern on it. Looks like it has good hooks on it. This is like a brand I think called Cultiva. And it's a phenomenal little jerkbait. A little deeper diving, great hooks on it. And I can't remember where I got it, but it's a really nice one. Got some older plugs down in here, some stuff from back in the day. Again, here's another one of those like Excalibur Bill Dance ones. There's some smaller, cheaper ones. I don't throw ones this small too often, but I would maybe creek fishing or something like that. But that's about it. I mean, really, Vision 110, some Rapala, and some Lucky Craft are my go-to. And here's my deeper divers. I kind of have them sort of deeper diving, more shallow, and kind of some baits that I don't use as often with ones that I use a little bit more often. So that's my jerk baits. Lipless crankbaits. So I fish a lot of lipless crankbaits. I didn't do it as much this year, but I've recently reorganized some of these. I used to have them separated out one by one, and I decided to change that. Now it's kind of organized by color. I got a number of different brands in here. I could not tell you all the brands that I have. You may recognize some of them as like the original Rapala. I got some Yozuri. I've got a number of red eye shads. I've got, oh gosh, I don't even know. I just picked these up randomly over the years. This little bait right here got really cheap hooks on it. It's really small. It is, I think it cost me $1.50 back in the day. And I caught so many fish on this little thing. It kind of just goes to show you that sometimes the fish really don't care. They just want what they want. And so this little lure was really cheap, and yet it's caught me a ton of fish. Here's one of those bait balls, some smaller ones. I mean, really I've kind of organized it by color a bit. I'll probably grow this a little bit this year. I do want a couple more craws, but that's about it there. And then, so you see I've got crankbaits. Shallow, medium, swim baits, deep diving. And so let's dive in here. So here's my shallow crankbait. I'm going to classify this as really anything like 1 to 5 feet. So we've got some small swim bait style ones, some really, really small baits. I'm looking for smallmouth creek fishing, maybe get some bluegill potentially on some of those. Here are some Strike King. I've got some random ones. A lot of these are really, really random, and so it's going to be really hard to say brands. But I know these are some Arashis, a number of those here. This one I just got not too long ago. I think this is the Rattle Trap branded lipless, which I thought was a little weird, but I caught a fish on one of my first casts with that one. You know, some little deeper diving. There's some Rapala here, some more odd style baits here, some Shad Wraps, or I mean some, I forget what they call these. These got the curved bill on them, so they got the Scatter Wraps, I think is the name of those. Here's some Mega Bass ones, so these are a little bit more premium, great hooks on them. Got a couple of those. Those are kept a little separately, because I'm going to only fish those in places where I don't think I'm going to lose them, because I really don't feel like losing what is a $20 to $25 lure at most times of the year. So those are my shallow cranks. I do a lot of shallow fishing. You know, most of those are square bills, bouncing them off the rocks or bouncing them off limbs in the water. Now here's my medium diver. So this is probably the area that I use the most though. So when I'm fishing out on the lakes, out on the boat, I like fishing medium depth stuff, that 8 to 9, 10 foot with some of these. So I've got a ton of these flicker shads. I don't think these flicker shads are super great baits. I got a lot of different depths here. Some of these are not flicker shads, but they're very similar. But I've had some issues with them tracking right. However, they're still pretty solid, and I've caught a ton of fish on them. I mean, an absolute ton. So I know they work. These aren't made anymore, as far as I can tell. These are a Bill Dance lure, and I actually love these. These are some Bomber Fat A's back in the day. I've caught a ton of fish on this over the years. This exact color. So I've got 2 of them in there because you can't buy them anymore. Some bait balls. Let's see here. I haven't tried this one yet, but I will this year. I actually really like that one. Some crawfish colors. Some more baitfish style colors. Again, tons of different brands here. There's some Bomber, some Norman, some Strike King, some Excalibur, some cheaper brands here, some Wiggleworts. So I've got some Wiggleworts in here, and these were, I think, a Storm brand, if I remember right. It could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. So Wiggleworts and these, they have a very similar shape and wiggle. So I've got those separated out. I do love Wiggleworts. They're a great bait. Let's see here. Let's go down. Let's do my deep diver. So these are baits I don't use a ton, but I have a number of them. So these are all deep diving cranks. So you're gonna see a lot of Strike King, 10XDs, 8XDs, some deep diving stuff right here. And how often will I use this? Very rarely. My goal this year, actually, I really wanted to get on some deep water cranking bites, and it never happened. So I've got a lot of these, and I'm geared up for when the time comes. I mean, I love this color right here. That's a phenomenal color. Some Rapala, some Strike Kings. Most of these are Rapala, Strike King, Norman. That's really about it. That makes up probably 75% of these. So again, tons of different deep diving crankbaits. I'm set. I mean, I really don't need any more. But these are some really good baits, and hopefully I get in some deep cranking this year. That's the goal. All right, some smaller swim baits. So I can show you this one because I kind of ventured in the swim bait game and bought some stuff, and I have not used hardly any of this. So I've got some bigger ones up here. I forget what these are even called, what brand these are. They're actually kind of nice. They got a good action to them. I've thrown them. I've not caught anything on any of these. I'm going to be throwing, though, this spring a ton of baits like this. So it's kind of a medium size, really good wiggle action. And when those fish are spawning, those bass are spawning, I'm going to be throwing this a ton. Same thing with some soft plastic ones like this. So here's a big old crappie style bait. It's soft plastic. It's a really nice bait. I honestly, I don't remember where I got it. I think I got it somewhere at Cabela's. It might be their own branded baits. So these are some soft plastics, some hard plastics. This was kind of my venture into the swim bait game, going half-ass, really, getting the small stuff. I like these. I can't remember who made these. I think these are a Lucky. I'm pretty sure this is a Lucky Craft. It's a pointer jerkbait with a moving tail. So I haven't thrown those at all, though. So a bunch of baits I haven't thrown. Big surprise. All right, now spinner baits and buzz baits. I've got a lot of them. Some of these go so far back and look so terrible. I don't know. I could probably just throw some of these out. I've got a bunch of new ones. There is really no organization to this. It's just kind of thrown into these boxes, and I don't really like these boxes all that much. But I got them because they fit with, again, the Plano 3700 style. I don't know what I'm going to do here. I mean, some of these are actually really good baits. I've got a number of... I think what I want to do in the end is get a box just of like Colorado blades, and then another of just, you know, willow, and then sort them by color from there, and that's it. But I haven't done anything yet. I got a number of Terminator, some old Terminator stuff from way back in the day when they just were coming out. That was the It spinnerbait brand. I'm not going to dive into those because we all know what a spinnerbait looks like. Here's more spinnerbaits and some buzz baits just kind of laid out. So buzz baits over here, I have really no good organization for those. Here's some other spinnerbaits, some really old ones. Here's a lot of willow leaf, double willows, some mixed. You know, that's what this box was designed to be. The other one's going to be Colorado. I just don't have as many, you know, single blade Colorado, double Colorado as I do willow. So it's kind of transitioned over into that other box too. Buzz baits, I don't have a ton. I mean, I don't fish a buzzbait all that much, which I really should, because as a kid, I actually loved it. This, you know, a double buzzbait was, man, one of my favorite baits as a kid. I loved throwing that. There was nothing better than seeing an explosion on one of those, and yet I kind of got away from it. So maybe this year, I already said one of my goals for 2017 is to fish more topwater. That does include buzzbaits as well. Alright, chatterbaits, inline spinnerbaits, underspins. This is kind of an ever-evolving box. I feel like a bunch of my chatterbaits have just disappeared on me, and I don't know where they went. So, I mean, I've got a bunch of chatterbaits. Some original Z-Man, some other stuff, some really small chatterbaits. I don't even know where I got those. I'm going to have more of those this year. Again, I don't know where they went, because I know I had more at some time. Inline spinners. So I've got a number of inline spinners. Some cheaper ones. I got a little blade bait in there. Some cheaper inline spinners. And these are some nice Terminators that you really can't buy anymore. Those are one of my go-to baits when fishing for smallies and some creeks. I got some really nice hair jigs. I like hair jigs. I like them quite a bit. Some marabou jigs here. I like to have a few of them on hand. Here's some other smaller hair jigs. I want to give that float and fly a try. Some of these would actually be really good for that. Punching. So I've got some punches actually already set up. These are those pre-rigged punch rigs with these tungsten weights on top. I've got a few of those. I don't do much punching, so I don't have a lot. Spoons, again, I got a few. I don't have a lot because I don't do it very much. Some bladed hooks and some underspins. I will be doing a lot more of this year for sure. But that's it in there. And then lastly, jigs. Now, I've got a lot of jigs, and there's really no good organization to this at all. This is completely random and probably one of the worst ways I think you can store your jigs. So don't do what I do, because I have no clue what weight any of this stuff is. So it kind of goes off by feel. If I want a 3/16 ounce, I got a feel for one in here. So I kind of got them sorted by color. You know, these are those heart jigs that I really like. Good hook. I think that's a 3/8 ounce. Got some other ones over here. Some black and blue, some white, some green pumpkin. Some heavier football jigs are in the back. So there is a little bit of organization to that. More Arky head style jigs are up front. I have a lot more of those than I have a football head jigs, just because I don't fish them that much. I've got some of these big old Nutex back here with these crazy weed guards. I got a few of those all around. I haven't really thrown them much, but I do like them. They seem like they're good. Some up front, I got a ton of little small jigs. So these are, maybe some of them would be classified as finesse jigs. Some of them are just a little bit lighter. Same over here. I mean, these are some really, really tiny, like 1/8, 1/16 ounce jig heads. Some very small stuff, some bitsy jigs. But I really like jig fishing. Jig fishing was a goal of mine 2016 to grow, and I did. I caught probably the first 100 fish of the year. I caught all on a jig. I mean, that's just crazy. Maybe 1 or 2 crankbaits in there, but of the first 100 fish that I caught for that year, at least 95 of them were on a jig. So that's exactly what I want to do. Now, that, outside of some of my old baits over here, let me see. Got some old baits over there. That. Oh gosh, come on. Come on, tripod, let's get this in here. Whoa, that lighting is interesting. That's all my lures. That's all of my tackle. I've got a few random other baits spread out throughout the house, the garage, etc. But this is my go-to stuff right here. There's a lot here. And this is not something that I just collected over a day, a week, a month. This is a lifetime. I mean, I'm talking 25 years of collecting baits and lures. And so, yeah, I've got a lot, and I know a lot of people want to grow their collections, and don't rush it. Oh, I forgot one more lure. You guys recognize that. Savage Gear Duck. We're going to give that a shot this spring, maybe summer. And maybe do a little bit of a duck challenge. I don't know. We'll see. So that's all my baits. Again, we're going to do a little bit of a separate video for a swim bait arsenal unboxing, because I'm really just starting to get into that. And that's going to wrap up my tackle tour part 2. And so now, you know, through part 1, part 2, we've gone through all of my lures, soft plastics, terminal tackle. The only thing left, beyond maybe looking at my boat at some point, which is in storage, so maybe this summer I'll do a boat tour. But beyond that, we've got to look at my rod and reel arsenal. I've got a lot of rod and reels. We're not going to go... Oh my God, camera, it's like you stop at the worst times. Okay, so like I was saying, the only thing really left to go through is my rod and reels. So that's going to be in the next episode. Until next time, this is WindyCityBassin signing out. Oh, if you like this video, leave a like below, comment below, and as always, subscribe. Let's grow this channel. Keep on subscribing, because the growth lately has just been amazing. So, thanks again.